In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a pop ballad. And to do that, I remade the acoustic version of Tom Frane's song called Unstable, and I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar pop ballad style to this one. Set the tempo around 185 to 190 BPM. Start off by making some long, stringy chords. It's just one simple chord that plays for 2 bars, and then it changes to 2 separate chords for the next 2 bars. And then for the sound of the strings, I just use a simple string preset from Flex. And then for mixing, all I did is I added this EQ over here, which gets a lot of the highs out to make it a more muffled sound, and then gets a good amount of the lows out as well, so that when we make basses later, the lows won't counteract each other and make it sound weird and muddy in the mix. So take out a little bit of the lows, and then taking out a good amount of the 2 highest frequencies will help make it a darker, more muffled feel. Next, chop up those chords and put them into a piano sound. Not only did I chop up these chords, as you see right here, but I also used the strum feature in FL Studio. All I did is I used these settings to make it that strummed feel for the chords. And all the strumming does is help make it sound like a more realistic piano. It's not a realistic piano by any means, but because when you play a piano, all the notes don't synthetically play all at once, so it helps to delay some of the notes like that and then change up some of the velocities as well. I used 2 piano presets to accomplish the sound. I used this Flex piano preset with the darken macro turned all the way up, and then the same thing with this stage grand preset from Flex as well. Then for mixing, I used the same exact EQ for the strings for the same reasons. Kind of want to get it a little more on the muffled side, and then you also don't want the lows to be too muddy when we make basses and stuff later. Next, make a small arp with the piano sounds. This is just finding random 2 notes that work in the key and just repeating it over and over again like this. And for the sound of this, I used a piano pad preset from Flex with these settings over here. Next, take the bass notes from the chords and put them into some bass presets. And by bass notes, I just mean the root notes of the chords. So like this is an F chord, this is an A chord, whatever. So just take the bass notes like this over here and then throw them into some bass presets over here like this. I used 3 presets to accomplish that bass sound that you just heard. I used this bass preset from Flex with these settings. I used this picked bass guitar preset with these settings from Flex. And then I used 1 sub bass preset from MHA's Vital Sound Bank Volume 1. So these first 2 over here are softened versions of these bass guitar presets from Flex, which is like an electric acoustic type bass guitar sound. And then this one is just a synthetic sub bass just to help with the low end support. For mixing, all I did on here is I put a Fruity Blood overdrive with these settings, the amplification knob in order to amplify the sound and give it a little boost in the dynamics, and then the filter over here as well, again because we want a soft and dark vibe for this track, so having the filter on the bass also helps make it stand out less. So without the filter, it sounds like this. So you hear kind of more of that texture with the bass, and then the filter helps eliminate more of that texture and make it more soft and dark. Now for the drums. The drums for this track are very simple. It's just a few kicks and a snare. The kicks are in a pattern like this. Just aim for something very soft and light and punchy, and all it does is it follows the vocals, so it helps have a punchier effect with the vocal as well. And then for the snare down here, it's just a little percussion hit. It's nothing special. And then the 2 together sound like this. So obviously something very soft and in the background, not really standing out. For the kick, all I did is I put a Fruity Blood overdrive on here just to give it an extra bit of oomph so you can hear it in the mix. The kick itself is soft, so it doesn't really distort it much, which is what we're going for. We're not going for a distorted sound or anything like that. And then for the snare percussion thing, all I did is I put some reverb on there with the dry turned down a little bit and the wet turned up more than the dry. Just again, so it's a more of a background sound and not really something that's in your ears and standing standing out too much in the mix. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track, production wise, all I did here is I split up the chorus into 2 parts. The first part, I put everything all together except the drums. I have the piano, arp, strings, and bass. And then the second part over here is the same stuff from earlier, but just adding that drum pattern down there like that. Realistically, what you would do here is if you were having like an intro or verse or anything like that, you would just start with a piano, keep it nice and simple, and then the chorus would be this over here. And then like you could do this as an outro, and then everything in the middle would be like the chorus and stuff, and you have everything just playing all together. And yeah, after all that, here's the final result.